Coming up on the show, the fight over the future Fulton County Jail is heating up. Today, we're going to go one-on-one with Sheriff Pat Labat and find out why he's calling the $1.2 billion improvement plan by the commissioners a political stunt. Also, what if the next business is starting in a Georgia classroom? See how the state's newest entrepreneurs are turning ideas into income. And home prices cooling and more homes on the market, yet the working Atlanta still can't buy. We're going to dig into why the dream of a home ownership remains out of reach and what one group says could finally change that. This is The Take. Let's get it. Hello and welcome. I'm Chesley McNeil, and this is The Take, where we go above and beyond the headlines and we look at the why and how stories are impacting you and your community. We invite the experts in to share their takes and give us a little bit of knowledge on their takes of today's top stories, and we try to have just a little bit of fun as well. All right, let's kick off this show this week. The Fulton County Board of Commissioners voted to allocate a $1.2 billion toward constructing a special purpose detention center and renovating the current Wright Street Jail. The 4-3 vote clears the way for extensive renovations to the existing Wright Street Jail, addressing serious infrastructure deficiencies. There will also be construction of a new special purpose facility for inmates with medical and mental health needs. The whole project was not expected to be completed until 2030. Now, ahead of Wednesday's vote, Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts touted a plan here on The Take.
During the renovation of Wright Street, we'll have to transfer those inmates someplace. So they will be housed in this new special purpose facility while Wright Street is being renovated, as opposed to us finding space for them in other jails like Cobb County, where we have a significant number of our inmates there in Cobb County that cost us a pretty penny. So I think this is, hate to use that expression, but I think it's a win-win.
Okay, well, one person is coming out against the commissioner's vote is Fulton County Sheriff Pat Labat. Last night, he released a statement calling the decision of political games and smoke and mirrors, and immediately, that immediate repairs and replacement are needed. Longer terms promises. Let's bring in Sheriff Labat now, joining us on the show. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, good morning. Always good to see you. Good to be here. Thank you so much.
All right, expand on why you think the board's $1.2 billion plan is the wrong approach.
So first of all, that $1.2 billion plan is like being in a burning building and actually building a fire station 5 years later. And so if you really delve down into the minutia of the actual resolution and the plan, it actually says that we're not going to do anything in the immediate. We're going to build a special purpose building, to which 4 years ago we introduced to the Board of Commissioners, and they voted that down. And so now people that are running for office, that want to get airtime, have put in place a special purpose option that really does us no good. We need immediate relief. The women and men of the Fulton County Sheriff's Office are some of the best in the country. And to continue, and I've said this, to continue to be deliberately indifferent as to what our needs are, as to what our inmates' needs are, will really continue to cause harm. And so we have, for 4 years plus, stood on the side of we need immediate relief. And so I'll give you a good example. You heard the chairman talking about some of the relationships we have with Cobb County. Mm-hmm. Well, Cobb County's population has risen, and the Cobb County Sheriff does not have the ability to continue to hold at mass numbers what that looks like. Mm-hmm. So it is a penny wise and a pound foolish.
Gotcha. Now, you talk about the immediate repairs that are needed. When you walk into the Wright Street Jail, talk to us about those repairs that are needed.
Well, just night before last, your team was on site around 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night, when there was stormwater that was rushing through the dormitory style areas where 197 people actually have to live. We have locks that don't work. We have lighting that continues to be stripped. And a lot of it has to do with a holistic criminal justice failure. So if we can get people out of jail, and the mental health aspect of where we are. You have to keep in mind, Chesley, when we started, and we had this conversation, we started really 4 years ago, we had 3,600 people with 600 people sleeping on the floor. To date, we have 24 people sleeping on the floor because we are creeping up in our population. And again, I credit all the police chiefs in Fulton County for solving crimes, for getting the right people in jail, but ultimately, we have to do a better job.
Speaking of that, you place a lot of the blame on the commissioners. What's your role in this, your and your staff's role in this as well?
So again, what we have done has been really thought, purpose driven, right? We have been in a place where we've been intentionally transparent. The commission has underfunded the sheriff's office and really has caused an environment where people don't want to work at the Fulton County Jail. And so ultimately, again, I go back to I'm proud of the women and men that work here. They come to work every day. But you also have to keep in mind, because we're competing in a larger pool, the Atlanta Police Department, they offer childcare, they offer housing, they restructured their pension plan. These are conversations that we've had year over year, time after time, with respect to approaching the board to try and create an environment where this is a employees benefit related opportunity for us to get it right. And we continue to focus on the jail. And if you keep in mind, take a look at the chairman's plan, it does not address the women and men of the Fulton County Sheriff's Office.
What would be your plan, Sheriff? What would you like to see done?
Well, I think you have to put people before politics, and you have to create an environment where people want to work here. And so that means education incentives. Chesley, right now, if you have a master's degree and a GED, you have the same starting salary. You have to make it really an environment where people want to come and thrive and help people. We've lost 70 people in the last 70 days because of the inactions of the Board of Commissioners. And it's not all of them. Let me be absolutely clear. There's some people on the Board of Commissioners that actually get it. You talk about Commissioner Barrett, you talk about Commissioner Mo Ivory, you talk about Commissioner Arrington, they get it because they're putting people before politics. But if we can really convince the others to do that, including the chairman wouldn't want to work in an environment where there's water running down the building. Yet and still, there are two things that are important. A couple years ago, they redid Assembly Hall. It cost $4 million. And right now, the Board of Commissioners on their 10th floor offices are going through a $4 million to $5 million renovation. Yet and still, they expect people that are hardworking, that come to work every day, to work in sewage, to work in stormwater, to work in some of the worst conditions in a jail that has really long since, for decades, been in this place.
All right. Sheriff Pat Labat, Fulton County Sheriff Pat Labat, I really appreciate you joining us, and thank you for your insight today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Folks, don't go anywhere. You're watching The Take. We're back right after this. Welcome back. Today, the FBI is searching the Maryland home of ex-Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton as part of an investigation into the handling of classified information. Let's bring in Washington correspondent Alice Barham, who's been covering politics for years now. And Alice, this is a developing story. It's happening right now. What do we know so far?
It certainly is. We are tracking this FBI raid of the D.C. area home of John Bolton, National Security Advisor during the first Trump administration. A source familiar with the matter tells NBC News the raid is part of a national security investigation in search of classified records. In a post on X this morning, FBI Director Kash Patel wrote, quote, "No one is above the law. FBI agents on mission." Bolton and President Trump have sharply criticized each other since parting ways in 2019, with Bolton often slamming the president's foreign policy moves. One of President Trump's first acts this term was to cancel Bolton's security service detail, despite his receiving death threats stemming from Iran. The Justice Department investigated Bolton during the first Trump term over accusations he included classified information in his book and unsuccessfully tried to stop its publication. Bolton maintained that he had the information that he included cleared, and the DOJ under the Biden administration dropped the case.
All right, we had a big financial win and a big political loss for the president in the courts. Let's start off with this legal win, a $500 million, a civil fraud judgment handed down last year being tossed out in New York. Walk us through what happened there.
Yeah, President Trump is celebrating this decision where a New York appeals court threw out the $500 million judgment against him in a civil fraud case when he was found liable of civil fraud. And he has called that case a witch hunt and election interference. In this ruling, the 5-judge panel was divided. 2 of the judges said that President Trump was correctly found guilty of fraud. 2 said he should receive a new trial, and 1 said the case should be dismissed. All 5, though, decided that the penalty that was imposed, that $500 million judgment, was excessive. New York Attorney General Letitia James plans to appeal. She was the one who brought these charges in 2022, accusing President Trump and his business enterprises, family real estate business, of inflating his net worth and deflating it in different instances to get more favorable loan terms. The ruling does still hold that President Trump committed fraud. That still stands, and it leaves in place restrictions that limit the Trump Organization's ability to do business in New York. His legal team is expected to keep appealing, while the Justice Department is also now investigating Letitia James, and both for bringing this case, and also they're accusing her of mortgage fraud, which her attorneys are saying is political retribution.
Gotcha. So from a legal win to a policy loss, break down how his immigration crackdown is taking a hit.
Yeah, this is about that Alligator Alcatraz, that controversial migrant detention center right next to the Florida Everglades that's been getting a lot of attention. There's a new order that does not directly shut the facility down, but it orders the removal of all generators, sewage, and waste receptacles within 60 days, and says that no new migrants can be brought there, no new detainees can be brought there, that there can be no construction on the site. So with all of those restrictions, it's unclear how the detention center could keep operating under these rules. The environmental groups that brought the legal challenge are calling the ruling a major victory for Florida's fragile ecosystems, and the state of Florida, which has partnered with the Trump administration on this site, is already appealing the order.
All right, Alice Barr, thanks so much for your insight. Really appreciate it. All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We got some student entrepreneurs that we're going to talk about. It's coming up right after the break. Across Georgia, teenagers are stepping into the role of entrepreneur, gaining confidence, leadership skills, and proving that it's never too early to start building a future. Here to talk more about Georgia Flex, the Georgia Flex program, is Heath Tippins. He's the president of the Cherokee Office of Economic Development. Heath, welcome to the show.
Morning, Chesley. Thank you for having us today.
Absolutely. First of all, what's behind the Georgia Flex program?
So what Flex is, we're currently teaming up with our great partners at the Cherokee County School District to offer this awesome opportunity. I know I would have loved to have something like this to participate in when I was in high school, but Flex stands for Foundational Leadership and Entrepreneurship Experience. The program actually started in Fitzgerald, Georgia in 2022 and now includes around 20 communities all across the state. But it's a hands-on entrepreneurship program designed for high school students where they can create real businesses, make real money, and then participants develop business plans, operate those businesses, attend workshops, and receive mentorship from local business leaders as well as teacher advisors within the schools. And the program includes a series of competitions with the top teams receiving seed money and then advancing on to a statewide competition where they can win up to $10,000. So basically, it's kind of like Shark Tank for high school students.
Yeah, it would have been very beneficial when I was in school. I'm with you. Why is it important to give these high school students this kind of hands-on experience?
Sure. I mean, I think two things. I mean, it's twofold. It gives our students the tools to be more successful. In past surveys, students have noted that they feel better prepared in public speaking, time management, confidence, accountability, financial literacy. The list goes on. And of the companies that were started as a result of Flex, 59% of those are still in operation. So it's generating real economic impact within the community as well.
Yeah. Does the Flex program really help the students prepare for the real life demands of workforce, beyond what they learn in a traditional classroom?
Oh yeah, I believe so. They're starting real businesses. I mean, so they're going in, they create a business plan, present that. That's kind of how it's narrowed down to begin with through the 3 rounds. And so, I mean, they're starting real businesses and getting real world experience.
Talk to me about the feedback from the kids. What's the excitement on their faces, if there's any, or do they just think this is hard work?
Oh, no, they're excited to launch these businesses, and these are kind of across the board. It comes from a diverse sectors kind of all across the board. So they're very excited for the opportunity. It's something new, and we're looking forward to rolling this out. We're actually in the schools this week promoting it at all 6 high schools here locally, and a lot of kids are very excited. We've actually already got 20 different student companies that have already signed up for it.
You talk about leadership as well, right? So beyond the business side of it, how does the program help the students become better leaders?
Absolutely. I mean, they're leading these companies, and so when they're launching them, they're going through every single motion as you would when say someone that's graduated college or someone that's an entrepreneur that's looking to start a company. That's leadership right there. They're going through all the motions to create a real company just right out of the gate, and so I believe that's taking leadership and stepping forward with it.
Lastly, do you see the program expanding any?
Here locally, we're going to be planning to offer it on an annual basis. But again, like I said, it's already within 20 communities all across the state. So I would see that it would continue to catch on and continue expansion all across the state of Georgia.
Got it.
I would recommend checking out the website, CherokeeGA.org/flex. That'll have all the breakdown on the program itself.
Good stuff right there. Heath Tippins, thanks so much for joining us today. And good program.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Yep. Don't go anywhere, folks. We've got plenty more stories for you coming up right after the break. This is The Take. We'll be back right after this. All right, welcome back to the show. You know that fast pass for electric cars on Georgia highways, it's about to hit a red light. A federal exemption, which lets them cruise in HOV and express lanes, often for free, is set to expire this fall. That means new rules and the potentially a lot more traffic headaches, right? Here to explain it all is friend of the show, and haven't seen her in a long time, GDOT's Natalie Dale. Welcome back.
I have missed you. Thank you.
We've missed you. We've missed you.
Well,
now, there may be drivers out there that may not be familiar or been following this closely. What exactly is about to change this fall?
So in 2015, the FAST Act, which was passed in 2015, it allowed alternative fuel vehicle users exemptions in both the HOV system and the HOT system in Georgia. And it was a federal act, so it allowed this throughout the country. There was a 10-year sunset on that. And so 2025, we're there. So on September 29th at 11:59 p.m., that will be the end of the exemption in the HOT and HOV lanes for alternative fuel vehicles. Now that doesn't mean you can't use them if you have an alternative fuel vehicle. What it means is that as that alternative fuel vehicle user, AFV, that you have to maintain the same rules as everyone else. So if you're in the HOV lane, you have to have 2 or more passengers now to be eligible. Or if you're in the HOT system of the State Road and Toll Authority's express lane system, if you're in that HOT expansion system, you have to follow the same rules as everyone else. So you can still use them, you just can no longer use them for free or as a single occupancy vehicle.
Natalie, you know how this works. You give people perks to get used to them. How big of a change will this be for those not getting that perk anymore?
Well, again, when you look at the amount of people traveling through Georgia, this really doesn't impact that many road users because the HOV system is unique to Metro Atlanta. So we're not talking about people who are driving, in North Georgia or in South Georgia. HOV system is in Metro Atlanta, as well as that small section of the HOT lane on I-85. So it's users of those systems. And then we dial that down to those who are in alternative fuel vehicles. So it's not even every user of the system. So while it doesn't impact a huge amount of people on our roadways, it is still an impact, and we want people to make sure that they are being that they're following the letter of the law. And so we just want to get the word out for this next month to make sure that they are in compliance with the new regulations, with the expiration of that exemption for them. So we've been working very closely with the State Road and Toll Authority. We are putting messages out to AFV users at charging stations just to make sure that everyone is aware of the changes to come. come.
So you can't use an excuse like I didn't know, right? I didn't know.
Well, find your carpool partner. If you're going to use the HOV system, the whole point of the HOV system is to get more cars off the road, to get people carpooling.
Yeah.
So the best thing you can do is, if you're an AFV user and you want to use that HOV system, find a carpool buddy, find another AFV user who's in the same lane as you.
Will there be any extra patrols or any technology to enforce these rules?
Well, I can't speak for the HOT system because that's run by the toll authority, and so they sort of manage the technology there.
Gotcha.
But there are police, whether that's Georgia State Patrol or local police, that do keep an eye on the HOV system. People always wonder, how can I get away with using this if I'm a single occupancy vehicle? There's sort of urban legend or lore about people who use, dummies in the passenger seat to be able to. Yeah, someone has an eye on it. We just would rather you make the choice yourself to be compliant rather than have a Georgia State Patrolman pull you over and give you a ticket for compliance.
And any differences for those that are already using a Peach Pass?
Well, within that HOT system, AFV users can no longer use that system free of charge. So they'll have to just use the same rules as everyone else does, which is 3 or more in that lane system. So again, they're just having to comply with the same rules everyone else has to apply with. They've had 10 years of this sort of federal perk. And so the federal government has said, 10 years is up. Time to go back to normal.
You're taking my perks away. What's the single most important thing the drivers need to know before this change kicks in?
Again, I think this is a call to really enhance carpools, enhance your network, get cars off the road. But if you are a single occupancy vehicle and you intend to stay so, make sure you're looking at your commute time. If you're used to using that HOV system and you're not going to be able to take advantage of that anymore, make sure that you look at, do I need to leave earlier? Can I telework? Do I need to work a different shift at my office? Can I go in later or earlier? Since I'm not able to zoom by in the HOV lane, how do I need to tailor my new commute to lessen the stress and to be a safe motorist on the road? That is the most important thing, is just to know that after 10 years, your commute's going to change and you have to adapt to that. Use the tools at your disposal, whether that is Waze, whether that is, watching 11Alive for traffic news. Make sure that you're using all the tools to have a stress-free commute.
Natalie Dale, yes, you bring us so much insight. Don't stay away long anymore, okay? Come on back.
I won't. I'll see you next week.
All right, take care. All right, folks, don't go anywhere. You're watching The Take. We're back. Zach Merchant, he's going to tell us about the Georgia vote coming up. All right, yesterday had all the appearance of a campaign swing through Metro Atlanta. Vice President J.D. Vance first rallied Republicans downtown, then pitching tax cuts for the folks in Peachtree City. 11Alive Zach Merchant, co-host of the Georgia Vote, joins us now. And welcome to the show again, Zach.
Thank you, Chesley. It's good to be back.
Always good to see you, my friend.
It means it's Friday for me.
Was this an important swing for the Vice President yesterday to come through?
Very much so. Yeah, important is one word to describe it. I think maybe signaling would be another one. The Vice President in Metro Atlanta gave a speech in Peachtree City talking about the recently passed One Big Beautiful Bill Act. It's as we know, you and I have talked about this. We've talked about this on The Take. It was a major policy priority of President Donald Trump and the Trump administration. It passed along partisan lines. Republicans in the Trump administration would say that it is a net win for Georgians and for the nation. They point to tax cuts in that bill, and that is the message that Vice President J.D. Vance was here to hype up and to highlight in Peachtree City. We should also note that it had the look of a little bit of a campaign event for some other candidates too. We heard from all 3 of the most prominent Republican Senate candidates, Derek Dooley, Congressman Mike Collins, and Congressman Buddy Carter at that rally as well.
All right, Democrats had a different view of the Vice President coming through, right?
Yes, they did, and they have a very different view of the Big Beautiful Bill Act as well. Of course, Republicans, as we just mentioned, they are touting it as a big tax cut. Democrats argue that the bill, in fact, benefits wealthy Americans much more than poorer Americans. They also point to what they see as the aspect of this bill that they argue is cutting access and funding to health care, particularly rural health care. We saw Democratic Party of Georgia Chairman Charlie Bailey at an event just before Vice President Vance's event making that argument here. It felt a lot like a campaign day in Georgia yesterday.
Speaking of campaigning, it was a big week for campaigning right here in Georgia, right?
Very big. I'm gonna have to find a different way to phrase this, because I feel like every week, Chesley, we have this conversation. We say, man, it's been a big week in Georgia politics, but that's just the state of play right now. So maybe I need to just get used to it.
Yeah,
because this is, it's like the goldfish in the fishbowl. This is water. We're in it. Big campaign swings this week. So I got to look down at my notes here because I've got bullet points that run down half of my sheet here. On Tuesday, former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms was in Savannah campaigning. Andre Dickens, Atlanta mayor, officially qualified to be on the ballot again in November's upcoming 2025 municipal elections. He spoke with supporters after officially qualifying to be on the ballot. Congressman Mike Collins, he's been in the Senate race, but he held a kickoff rally, his first time really revving up a crowd in his bid for Senate. Then on Wednesday, we saw a candidate forum for gubernatorial candidates in Warner Robins, Georgia, Houston County, just south of Bibb County. And then yesterday, of course, we saw the Vice President J.D. Vance event, and that was just like a 72-hour swing.
Yeah, wow. There's a growing field for folks running for lieutenant governor as well, right? And you talked to one of them for this week, right?
I did. We spoke with State Senator Blake Tillery, and you were right to point out that it is a growing field. We've got 4 people in the state Senate alone. There's Senator Tillery, there's also Senator John Kennedy, Senator Steve Gooch. Those are all Republicans running for lieutenant governor. There's also Senator Josh McLaurin. He's a Democrat. Plus, you've got Republican representatives, State Representative David Clark in this race. So you've got 5+ candidates, prominent candidates, running in this race. One of the questions we've asked everybody, particularly on the Senate side, is how do you legislate? Obviously, you're all vying for this same job, but you've also got to get through the General Assembly that's coming up at the beginning of 2026. You've got to make laws, pass laws, and that involves compromise. Ask them how they're going to thread that needle. You can hear State Senator Blake Tillery's answer this Sunday on the Georgia Vote.
Zach Merchant, you're always on top of it, my friend. That's why we always invite you back.
Appreciate it, Chesley.
No problem at all. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, and you can watch the Georgia Vote with Zach Merchant and Faith Jesse Sunday morning at 11 right here on 11Alive Plus. Yes, indeed. They'll give you all the latest, folks. New figures showing Metro Atlanta housing market is cooling rapidly. Data from the real estate firm Redfin shows that median price for houses in July was roughly about $387,500. That's a nearly 8% drop compared to the previous year. Homes are also taking longer to sell, averaging 64 days on the market. That's up 47 days from a year ago. And among those groups finding this especially true, working families and persons of color. There were a group that's trying to step up to help them achieve their dream of becoming homeowners, and we're going to bring in the person that knows all about that. Bruce Marks, founder of and CEO of the Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America, joins us now. Welcome to the show, Bruce.
It is great to be on. Thank you for having me.
All right. In one sentence, what's the #1 barrier from keeping working Atlantans from buying a house right now?
It's tough to save money. So with the NACA program, there's no down payment, there's no closing costs, there's no fees. It's always at a below market fixed rate. So today's rate for a 30-year fixed is 5.5%. And for a 20-year, it is 5%. So we've overcome any of those major obstacles for affordable home ownership.
Yeah, so the prices are starting to cool down a little bit, but people are still having a problem, feeling like they're being priced out. What do you tell them right now?
Well, we say that, rents are really high, and you've got these corporate investors who are out there who are buying up the properties, but there's still a lot of opportunities. So we say to them, get a mortgage with a mortgage payment that's less than you're paying in rent, because, the major roadblocks for affordable homeownership, NACA has overcome. And, so we're doing an event today. It's called an Achieve the Dream event, today, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's free. But as good as it sounds, it's even better. So people can come in and they get access to NACA's Best in America mortgage. And we're the only organization that can say it's the Best in America mortgage because we're regulated in all 50 states. And we're a nonprofit, largest HUD certified counseling agency. And people come in here and they get access to this mortgage. And we have $20 billion of this one mortgage and $15 billion from Bank of America.
So is that even for people who have very little savings to buy a home? Does this work for them as well?
Absolutely. It works for everybody who is a non-investor. So anybody that doesn't own other properties needs to come here. So, regardless of your income, regardless of whatever circumstances, you need to come here, because as good as it sounds, it's even better, because we never look at someone's credit score, because those three numbers do not define somebody. So, we look at the payment history that people control. So when you ask, absolutely, what are the major obstacles to affordable home ownership? It's, the down payment. There is none. It's the closing cost. There is none. It's an unaffordable rate. We have the lowest interest rate. And in restrictive underwriting, we look at people's individual circumstances, character-based lending without consideration of someone's credit score. So we overcome the major obstacles to affordable home ownership. And clearly people are paying a lot in rent. Yeah. So, this is an opportunity to purchase homes. And we're doing the event now, and we already have, before we started at 8 o'clock in the morning, we had over 350 people waiting outside. We have close to 1,000 people here now, but we're going to see everybody. And in one day, people go through all 4 steps. They do a home buyer workshop. Step 1, they upload their information, whatever they have. Step 2. Step 3 is they meet with a HUD certified NACA counselor. And step 4, they meet with a mortgage specialist to be qualified for our Best in America mortgage or their next steps.
Wow. Finally, what's the piece of advice you give, and I got 30 seconds here, what's the piece of advice you give to a teacher, a bus driver, or a nurse who's thinking that homeownership is just out of reach for them? What do you say?
They have to come here. They have to come to this event, because they have everything to gain and absolutely nothing to lose. So we're here, in Clayton County, at the school here, at the South Truett Cathy Professional Training Center, 1087 Battle Creek Road in Jonesboro. Come here from 8 in the morning to 8 at night. You only have to come here for one day, and we'll get you through the process, because you can be a homeowner on the best terms in America, and you control your house, and you generate wealth for yourself and your family. And you have, likely a mortgage payment that is less than you're paying in rent. All right, Bruce. And go to our website at NACA.com, NACA.com, because I understand it sounds too good to be true.
It does.
But we have an unbelievable track record over the last 40 years.
All right, Bruce, I'm going to have to cut you off right there, man. We got to go. But thanks so much. Appreciate you joining us today, all right?
Yeah, it's great to be on. Thank you for having me.
All right, folks, we're back right after this. All right, Jerome Powell's about to speak, and Wall Street has its seatbelt fastened. CNN's Carolyn Woods joins us now from the NASDAQ market site in New York. Hello to you, Caroline, and let me just say this. Today is a big day for the Fed chair. Will he soothe the markets, or will he send them into a tailspin?
Well, we're about 12 minutes into the trading day, and we're seeing some optimism. There's some green arrows right now. So at least right now, there are some gains, but we'll see after he speaks, because in just a little while, Chesley, Fed Chair Jerome Powell will make a major policy speech. The speech at the Fed's annual conference in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, is likely to map out how officials plan to battle inflation in the future, obviously a hot topic. And Wall Street will be looking for some indication from the Fed on interest rate cuts. Powell has been under attack from President Trump for not lowering its key interest rate, the Fed's key interest rate. Right now, most on Wall Street expect a rate cut at the Fed's policy meeting in September, so there's a lot of interest in this speech. It's likely this is Powell's last address from the annual conference as his term ends next May. But it's been a losing week, and we are seeing some green right now, so investors are upbeat.
All right, yeah, we'll keep watching that very closely. All right, Elon Musk's ride is under more than just an autopilot scrutiny. It looks like DC safety watchdogs just hit the brakes with a formal probe, right?
Yeah, safety regulators are looking into Tesla's reporting of crashes. Automakers have to report collisions involving either partial or full automated driving systems within 5 days from when they become aware of the crash. But regulators say there are numerous incidents with Teslas that happened several months before the dates on the reports that were filed. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is looking into whether Tesla is in compliance with its reporting requirements. Regulators say the delays were likely due to an issue with Tesla's data collection, which Tesla says has been fixed. All this comes as Tesla CEO Elon Musk works to persuade investors of the potential for the automaker to become a global leader in autonomous vehicles. All those efforts include showing its self-driving systems are safe enough to operate fleets of robo-taxis on public roads in the U.S. I know you have Waymo in Atlanta, Chesley. Do you ever take any of those?
I haven't yet, but maybe soon, maybe one day soon. But I want to make sure it's safe, though, safer, at least in my view. All right, so this could be a bad movie title, thriller. It's called The Attack of the Radioactive Shrimp. What's the FDA saying about this ongoing recall?
Yeah, the recall of shrimp due to possible radioactive contamination is now being expanded, actually. The recall now includes frozen, raw, and cooked shrimp sold under a variety of brands from Southwind Foods. The brands include Sandbar, Arctic Shores, Best Jet, Great American, and First Street. Earlier this week, frozen shrimp sold at Walmart under the Great Value brand was recalled. All of the shrimp was packaged by a company in Indonesia under what the FDA says appears to be conditions that were not sanitary. The worries are that the shrimp could be contaminated with a radioactive isotope. Chesley, I had shrimp last night. Wish I checked the packaging before I did this story. It was from Costco. I hope it wasn't one of those brands.
You're feeling good, right?
I feel great, but I don't know. Do you feel the effects of radiation or radioactive isotopes right away? I don't know. If I start to turn neon, we'll know.
Or something starts growing somewhere, then you know what it is. You should know what it is. Caroline, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate you. All right, plenty more stories for you coming up after the break, folks. This is The Take. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back. All across the United States, millions live with the heartbreak of losing a spouse, and while widowhood is often seen through the lens of women, men quietly face some of the deepest emotional struggles. The U.S. Census Bureau calculates that there are about 2.7 million widowers in the country, with roughly 200,000 men becoming widowed each year. A separate study from the Public Library of Science found men are about 70% likely to die the year after losing a spouse. In contrast, a woman's risk rises of only about 27%. With us now is Daniel Booker. He's the founder of Refuge Widowers, a faith-based nonprofit that works with widowed fathers. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right. We often hear about more about widows and widowers. What are the specific struggles that men face when they lose a spouse that people probably don't realize?
That's a great question. I never considered that topic until I became a widower at the age of 30, and I had a 3 and a 4-year-old. They were counting on me to get it right, and I jokingly say that became the season of Pop-Tarts and iPads, because I didn't really know how to lead well, and I had to learn on the fly at my children's expense. And so what I found myself doing as a 30-year-old widower was leaning on everyone around me, which was, I was very blessed with an amazing community, but at some point they have their own responsibilities in life to live. And so I had to figure out how do I take charge and how do I lead well when I'm having trouble breathing right now. So that began this long journey. And the first thing I realized is that everybody was very kind and very caring and brought casseroles and all this stuff, but I didn't have a single widower reach out to me and say, hey man, let me walk with you and let me show you some of the things that I've learned on my journey. So it became a very obvious gap that we don't do community well as widowers, and we just kind of say, hey, we're good, and we keep moving forward. And that's to the detriment of us and our children.
Yeah, you just mentioned it culturally. Men are told to stay strong, not to cry, don't show any grief. How does that make the process harder?
Well, it makes the process harder because we're guessing our way through grief. And we've never been here before. So whether it's pride or culture, we begin to just wing it, and that doesn't really go well usually. So what came out of that was this realization that, hey, I don't like this. I don't like guessing my way through grief. And by the grace of God, He sustained me and brought people into my story that helped. But as I entered a new season of remarriage, so 2 years later, I remarried to a widow who had 3 small boys. So together we had 5 kids. I brought a boy and a girl. She brought 3 boys, and we remarried. And after that, I met my first widower friend, and it changed everything. It was so encouraging to have someone say, me too, and here's my goals, here's where I'm going. And it sparked this idea that what if we don't do this alone? What if widowers actually have a place to get together and compare notes and walk with each other through all this? And that was the beginning inception, if you will, of Refuge Widowers.
Daniel, talk to me about how your group steps in and fills that gap, fills that space, and gives men a space to be able to share and connect and heal.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. We realize that guys do a better job of connecting when we're in person. So we decided to host in-person retreats. That means that guys from all over the country and now all over the world fly into Atlanta, of all places, and we host retreats up in North Georgia where these guys can be understood. A lot of them will say, without realizing it's been said before, that I finally feel like a normal person. Being in the room with other widowers, typically in their first year of grief, typically children still in the home, these guys feel understood and they can open up about what their struggles are and what their goals are. So we not only understand them, that's great, but we also help guide them to purpose and to hope. And as a faith-based organization, we know that truly our only hope comes from Jesus. So we steer and lovingly encourage them in their relationship with God to discuss that, to work through wherever the place they may be, because we know that that's where the hope comes from. And we kind of take our notes from the word, from the Bible, where it talks about in 2 Corinthians that God comforts us with his presence and then asks us to do the same. So the retreats are essentially us saying, hey, we're going to comfort you just by showing up for you, and then we're going to give you the playbook to walk with you through the rest of your life.
How do you break through, right? If somebody's watching out there today and they want to do this, but they're struggling and they just, you kind of feel like you want to be withdrawn, you want to be alone by yourself. How do you get in?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems and challenges are these guys have got to want and desire something besides what they have. You know, when you enter grief, sometimes it feels like you're in a fog and nothing makes sense, nothing looks familiar, and that's okay to be in that season for a period of time. But if you find yourself staying in that, you need someone to lovingly say, hey, I know exactly how you feel because I've been there too, and I'm going to help you. I'm going to love you enough to help you take a couple of steps in the right direction towards hope. We call it, at Refuge, we call it street credit. I can say things as a widower that most people couldn't say. Mm-hmm. And because of that access, I just lovingly want to make sure they know there's something more than just pain in this story. And also to honor our wives. Most of our stories involve caretaking and caregiving for our wives that had illness or whatever it was. Our wives inspired us in a big way. Yeah. So in a sense, we're honoring our wife by continuing to live life with purpose instead of just sitting in our pain.
Yeah. Daniel Booker, thanks so much for your insight today, and thanks for your strength as well. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks for the time.
No problem. Back with my final thoughts right after this. Well, cooler, to say the least, right? We do have the clouds out there, and there'll be a couple of isolated showers and thunderstorms around the area this afternoon. Going to give it a 50% chance. Where we have those thunderstorms, could be some brief heavy rain, so be on the lookout for that. Staying on the cool side for the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, 40% chance for showers and thunderstorms, mainly during the afternoon is when you'll see it. Not a complete washout, but we'll stay in those low 80s. Back up to 87 by Monday. We have a front that's going to come through late Sunday going into Monday. It's going to help to clear out that moisture. So we start to dry it out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Look at those temperatures in the low 80s, even the 60s, low 60s to start off in the morning. It's going to feel really refreshing. In fact, we're calling it false fall. False because, it's not going to stick around. Temperatures will eventually begin to heat back up. All right, folks, let's face it. A lot of us struggle getting out of the bed to make it to work. And by the time that lunchtime rolls around, we're wishing we could take a little nap. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that would be frowned upon here in the United States. But work naps are encouraged in China. In fact, it's a part of their constitution. It says that the working people in the People's Republic of China have the right to rest. Yeah. That's what you do during the afternoon. You take naps right there at their desk. They do that. And it's not only in China. Other places do it as well. Italy and Greek and Indian cultures, they do it. Meanwhile, here in America, we have the reputation of being one of the most sleep-deprived nations in the world. What are we doing, right? What are they doing that we don't know about? Research has found that lack of sleep, which leads to daily exhaustion, costs the United States about $63 billion in loss in productivity per year. Yeah, meanwhile, recent studies have shown naps up to about 30 minutes can boost your job performance by 34%. Yeah. Why aren't we doing naps? We need to do naps. In fact, I'm about to take one right now. Have a great weekend, folks. Try to encourage someone today.